Exalted Pyro Archon is every bit as strong as I wanted her to be. However, there is one main concern I have regarding how she might age into the future, so today let's discuss why I feel this way. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. Let's get this out of the way first. Mavuika is strong, and I mean really strong. I have no doubt in my mind that she's easily one of Genshin's most recent S-tier characters, and if you want to try her out, she's on banners right now, but where can you go to afford cheaper Primo Gems? Good news, Loot Bar's here to help us out. Loot Bar is a splendid service which can offer you cheaper Stellar Jades compared to the official prices shown in-game. Look at this comparison between the official cost and the Loot Bar cost. New users get a wonderful 8% off, and the prices are up to 23% cheaper compared to the official channel. Loot Bar is a fully saved service and has countless positive reviews, but how does it actually work? Allow me to show you. First, input your UID. That's right, you need no login information whatsoever. Choose your desired package, and then look at that. More Primo Gems for me. This is all legit since the site uses a VPN, which is how they cheapen the Primo Gems, and official top-up methods are used. Check out Loot Bar today to save on all your gacha needs. So keep in mind that as of now, Mavuika is 100% an S-tier plus character that is completely and utterly worth your pull, no questions asked. My concerns lie more in how she's going to age down the line, due to one simple fact. She's much like Raiden, a mostly DPS-based Archon with supportive capabilities. The part where I take issue is with the phrase, mostly DPS-based. Here's the thing, sure, she's the Pyro Archon herself. The woman embodies the spirit of her element fantastically, considering that it is the element most commonly associated with DPSs and damage. However, this means that her S-tier ranking is somewhat of a ticking time bomb. Over time, we will eventually get stronger and stronger DPSs. The power ceiling rises with every new region that comes out, and I doubt that Hoyo is planning to slow down on that just for Mavuika. So her being power crept as a damage dealer is bound to happen at some stage. Obviously, this is being overly panicky, since she'll still be at the complete top of the meta for at least a full year or so. Raiden was pretty dang good for the entirety of Inazuma, and was still a super competent option during Sumeru. She only fell off hard in Fontaine. However, the inevitable fact that she will eventually lose a chunk of value upon being power crept is very much still there. Why do I say this? Because if you evaluate things from a damage-only perspective, the exact same thing happened with Raiden. She was tuned to have amazing DPS for her time, but as the general standard for characters increased, the almighty Shogun only became less and less almighty over time. And then there's the fact that we already have so many pyro damage dealers. I seriously hope that they take a break from making DPS pyros for a while. I feel like Hoyo is too apprehensive to make any supports that hold such a vision, out of fear that they might create a new Bennett. I'm not sure why they're so worried about that, considering that they've massively improved upon Shengcho twice by this point, but whatever. The nice thing about Arlecchino versus Linny is that you could always make a case for one based on personal player skill in certain circumstances. There was still some genuine discussion to be had as to which one you should use in a given situation. With Mavuika around, she will outperform both while also carrying excellent ease of use, and it won't even come close. To be fair, those two aren't nearly as tied to Shilonen as the honorary son of Caledon is, so there is that. But the fact that she's a DPS Archon means that it'll be really hard to get excited for future damage dealers that share her element. They're pretty much always guaranteed to be weaker than Mavuika. I understand that power level isn't the main selling point for absolutely everyone. After all, Hoyo can easily innovate, making a character that still feels strong and unique despite not comparing to the Archon of her element. Making sure that there's minimal teammate crossover helps too. However, Hoyo pretty much only ever makes vape DPSs when it comes to Pyro. It's like they're on autopilot when it comes to designing the kits of carries that wield such a vision. However, it would be utterly foolish of me to pretend like Mavuika is only an on-field DPS. A silly assessment indeed, because drumroll please, the Great Pyro Ring. This thing is such a saving grace to our longevity, it's insane. As Xiangling has proven over the years, being able to apply Pyro from off field is a true blessing. Sure, the Liyue chef might apply more of it and do it faster, but generally you'll cover most teams' needs with the Pyro Ring. She makes my Kinich feel ridiculously good. If there's one thing that I really want to praise about her kit, it's that she has no ER requirements. This was one of the most annoying things about playing Xiangling in pretty much any team. Particle Gen, ER, and making sure that you could burst of her regularly. Making her power application skill-based was such a W. And her burst is still useful, because of how it triggers her A4, which can buff the damage that your on-field characters deal. Not to mention how nice the extra blast of damage is. Oh, and don't even get me started on how she saved our girl Ganyu. If you're a regular of mine, you'll know that this Coco Goat is one of my favorite characters in all of Genshin Impact. She's been in my top 3 favorites for as long as I can remember, so you can imagine my pain as both a cryo connoisseur and a true Ganyu lover at the fact that she was probably one of the most mid DPSs ever. I think people really overblow how bad she is, but it's undeniable that she's quite past her golden age. However, the Exalted Pyro Archon did so much to save her, primarily the fact that she melts on every hit. Whenever you fire off a Ganyu charge attack with Mavuika's Ring Up, the pyro applies itself immediately, so you melt every single Frostflake arrow. This is truly one of the most satisfying ways to play Ganyu ever. I doubt that this buff was intentional on Hoyo's end, considering that our goat was recently banished to the Chronicled Wish. Even so, it happened anyway. Melt You has never felt this good before. It makes Burn Melt look like a joke. And once again, because Mavuika's power application isn't burst-based, the team ends up feeling really snazzy to play. Shielding and being an insane buffer helps too. So because of this ring, she's got a form of longevity through buffing Knotline units such as Kanich, and even some far older units such as Ganyu. Shoot, she even fits nicely into Clorox's Bleach Overload because of how she can generate Fighting Spirit via normal attacks too, and not just the consumption of Night Soul. Therefore, it's not like she's automatically eventually doomed or anything like that. After all, even Raiden Shogun has her use as an off-field Electro Applicator in Hyperbloom these days. There's also the fact that she still remains as an excellent driver for Farina Double Hydro, since it's a super comfortable way to play that team. Every Archon will always retain some degree of relevancy. Yes, even our sweet Venti, because of the Imaginarium Theater. There's the fact that she'll always be the best support to pull for if you want to make your Notla main DPSs perform at their absolute best. For example, we can all agree that Nilou is a decent unit, yes? Not at the top of a meta by any means, but certainly a solid choice that you can make work if you really want her to. If you want to make her feel especially good to play, then you're gonna want to snatch a copy of Nahida. Even if we're no longer living in the Dendro meta, that's still a realistic situation that someone could find themselves in. Plus, it feels like that with each new Archon that they release, their shelf lives are getting better and better. We started off with our beloved Venti, who kinda fell off of a cliff when his main spotlight cycle concluded. Sure, he did in fact come back during Sumeru, and he was relatively decent during Fontaine. Folks certainly overblew how bad he was for sure. However, he was never really good enough to warrant pulling unless you're a simp. Correcting people would pretty much just be saying, hey, Venti's not horrible, he's just mid. Then you have Zhongli, who is still living fine and well to this day. I mean, he's a shielder. It's kind of hard to completely eliminate a character who works in nearly every team in the game, but they have managed to make it more skippable as time has went on, such as gearing the meta towards healers far more, and introducing more shielders over time who can replace him in different teams. Even so, a huge jump in potential shelf life compared to the last Archon. Raiden Shogun's shelf life was very hurt by the fact that she needs to on-field in order to utilize most of her kit. For as long as her damage was considered impressive, she was a pretty dang good character, until the DPS ceiling just got higher, and higher, and higher, until the Shogun eventually bit the dust. She's relegated to only being a driver or EM Hyperbloom bot these days. Even her oh-so-powerful C2 to 3 are quite underwhelming by today's standards, even if they do significantly improve the character. See why a DPS Archon is somewhat of a ticking time bomb. However, her ability to drive teams well helped in maintaining her shelf life. Nahida is the most balanced form of all of this in my opinion. She's not incredibly outdated, but she's not exactly the must-pull that she once was either. Sumeru teams have generally been power-crept, and there's plenty of Dendro teams which don't need the plant kid, such as Baiju and Flicker Quick Bloom so that you can use EM Raiden over Cookie, or how Kenichi and Hao vastly prefer to use Emily in their teams because Nahida does next to nothing for them. Even old Sumeru DPSs such as Sino have other non-Dendro team alternatives now, such as Shedverse Overload. However, you can still 100% pull her to upgrade your old Sumeru units, and she still gains new synergies from time to time. For example, her EM sharing A1 lending her to Muolani teams quite nicely. Our beloved Lady Farida might be what got Hoyoverse shaking and quaking in their boots, because you literally cannot beat such shelf life potential. Incredible universal buffing paired with very realistic conditions in order to attain said buffs, not to mention holding a vision of the absolute best element in the game. This is a stupidly huge value increase. The only way I can imagine Hoyo making her worse is by making damage bonus % worse, which is near impossible to do, considering the universality of it, not to mention how she's literally one of Mavuika's best partners in crime. Safe to say that her future shelf life is on another level. It's a good thing that, unlike Raiden, her off-field playstyle still has some focus, through A4, through her constellations acknowledging them, and through being the new best in slot across the board for all Notlon DPSs. However, why use her to upgrade your pre-existing Notlon teams when you could simply play the Motorcyclist as a DPS herself? Well, different situations prefer different teams, I suppose, but you get the idea. At least she plays really well on forward Melt. I like that. I've been saying that Melt deserves some attention for some time now. It's a great reaction. What do you know? The moment it gets shown some love, it does pretty dang well. Mavuika is certainly excellent, and I'm sure that we'll be seeing her in S tier for a very long time. However, I do think that making a DPS Archon, even if it fits thematically, was a bit of a miss. We had so many Pyro DPSs already. I still really enjoy the kit. I wouldn't even remove the damage dealer aspect of it completely, more so just expand her supportive capabilities more. Definitely let me know about your thoughts on this matter down below. Do you also think that there should have been more supportiveness added to your kit, or was what we got enough? I'm interested in hearing. As always, I have a ZZZ second channel. Head on over and subscribe if you're interested in some fun, silly ZZZ content. Hopefully this video was able to tell you about the one fundamental flaw of Mavuika's kit. This has been Juiced, signing out, and regardless of how she ages into the future, cruising around on the motorcycle is always going to be a great ton of fun.